So we also have some updates from on the ground. Let's go ahead and put this up on the screen. This was really quite shocking. Justin Amash, I don't know if you all remember, he's a former congressman. He just left in 2021. He had several relatives who were killed in the bombing of an Orthodox church in Gaza. Let me read you his statement here. He says, "I was really worried about this. With great sadness, I've now confirmed several of my relatives, including Viola and Yara, pictured here, were killed at this Orthodox church in Gaza where they had been sheltering when part of the complex was destroyed as a result of an Israeli airstrike. Give rest, O Lord, to their souls. May their memories be eternal. The Palestinian Christian community has endured so much. Our family is hurting badly. May God watch over all Christians in Gaza and all Israelis and Palestinians who are suffering, whatever their religion or creed." He posted another message on Twitter after this one saying, "My family and I would like to express our heartfelt appreciation for the many kind and gracious messages of condolence for our beloved cousins in Gaza. Please remember the thousands upon thousands of innocent civilians in unbearable circumstances who simply want a life of peace. So many of the people suffering are just children. They do not deserve violence and death." The details of this strike, this Israeli strike on this church, which they don't dispute, by the way. They say they were trying to hit a building next door, but they hit this church. It was sheltering displaced people on Thursday night. The church compound, comprising a chapel, 7 buildings, and a courtyard, was full of Christian families from the Gaza Strip. They said the airstrike happened around 7:30 p.m. when dinner was being distributed. The Gazan Health Ministry, which is controlled by Hamas, said at least 16 people were killed and many others were still buried under rubble. The death toll could not be independently confirmed. And of course, the fact that you have relatives of, a very recently serving Republican member of Congress just really underscores the devastation in Gaza right now. And also, Saagar, the fact that they thought a church would be safe. They thought this was, the best they could do in terms of trying to shelter and find a place where they could, and their families who were displaced could, at least survive what's going on. And there really is nowhere that is safe in Gaza at this point. Let's put this up on the screen in terms of the death toll. Listen, guys, these are the best numbers we can get. This is according to the AP. 1,400 in Israel. I think we can be fairly confident about that one at this point. 4,300 dead in Gaza. Those are the latest numbers. Again, remember, journalists are not really allowed inside of Gaza to be able to verify any of this. There's also a fear that I saw reported in the Washington Post that more than 1,000 individuals could be trapped under the rubble in Gaza from these bombings. And as I said before, there was a new massive bombing campaign overnight in Gaza, several hundred strikes, over 300 strikes. So we have yet to learn what the fallout from that is as well. Saagar, I'll get you to weigh in on this. We can update on the aid as well.
Well, I think it's important. Yeah, I'm glad that you said that. It's like we can't listen. We are dealing with the Israelis and the freaking Palestinian Health Ministry or whatever. Nobody knows what these numbers are, and we would just say that's why we need to allow foreign journalists inside of Gaza. There are American journalists who are chomping at the bit, who would love to be able to go in. Yes, even at risk of their own lives, in order to give people a better update, to be able to see things for themselves. Unfortunately, internet access is beginning to decline all over Gaza. Remember, they also don't have electricity, or they do have it in some parts, but it's still very difficult, the infrastructure and all of that. We have to be very, very careful about every single thing that is coming out of there, which is part of what makes it such a nightmare to even try to report on what it is. I think that the church incident just highlights what we have flagged from day one. This is one of the most densely populated areas on the planet. And with the dense population, you can try. No air force in the world, as we all saw during the U.S. drone campaign, you can have good intelligence. You can have world-class, air force. You can have JDAMs that cost tens of thousands of dollars a piece. Plus or minus 5 feet means a hell of a lot whenever, think about New York City or any other crowded metro area that you've ever been in, and just think about what plus or minus 5 feet would mean when you've got buildings that are sometimes together. And yes, it is true. Hamas uses it to its advantage. The Israelis claim that right across was like a major weapons depot, which is part of why it was happening. However, and very unfortunately, with the church, and just like a hospital or any of these other areas where people commune because they believe that they're going to be safe, they're really not safe at the end of the day. And it also, to me, underscores the wisdom of what Jocko said in that segment that we did on our last show, just about the pluses and the minuses, just from a pure military perspective, around what this bombing campaign is actually achieving, especially relative to the future goal. We'll talk about that in the Gaza Future block, because there's still, I want to think we should all be prepared and actually think carefully about what this military campaign is going to look like and what the fallout is. We failed to do that in Iraq. We failed to do that in Afghanistan. We honestly even failed to do it during the whole ISIS campaign, which is part of the reason why the world was so shocked about what was going on with that. And on this one, we have some time, at least for now, to think about it, and we shouldn't fail to actually take advantage of that.
That's right, and we will talk more about it, but let me just say this for now. I mean, Israel, with the complete siege situation of all of Gaza, and with what I would describe as, I know they would dispute this, but indiscriminate bombing. You're talking about churches, mosques, marketplaces, schools, medical facilities, etc., with there being really no safe zone. Even after they told people go south, and they're still bombing southern Gaza as well, there's really no place to seek safety. Ultimately, what you're doing, I don't know how effective they're being at taking out Hamas leadership at this point with this sort of like aerial bombing campaign, but you're terrorizing the entire population, and I guarantee you're creating more terrorists. I mean, just looking at history and the way this works out, I mean, how many members of the terrorist organization Hamas, how many of them lost family members, and that's part of what radicalized them? And analysis is not justification, but if your actual goal is peace and safety and security, and again, we're going to talk more about this is the wrong direction to go. And I do think that the fact that Justin Amash's Christian Palestinian relatives were killed in this bombing also underscores, like, you know, people have, especially because there are very few journalists allowed into Gaza, they have this very caricaturish view of who actually lives there.
Yeah, that's true.
Or they can just not really think about who actually lives there. And we try to say things like, you know, almost a majority of the population is children. Like, they're not, they're innocent. They're the definition of innocence, right? But when you have these details of it's a Christian church, these were Christians who lived there as well, who were killed in this bombing, whether it was intentional on Israel's part or not. You get a sense of how many people are caught up in this, and, you know, what a devastating human toll there is here as well. There's a little bit of good news. I don't want to oversell it here, but let's go ahead and put this up on the screen. We do have some aid trucks that were able to move through Rafah crossing. This is from Egypt into Palestine. Let's put this up on the screen. According to UNICEF, they did confirm that the first deliveries of humanitarian aid crossed the border, but it's just enough for 22,000 people for one day that was driven through as part of a 20-truck convoy. Water capacity right now at 5% of normal levels in Gaza. And by the way, the water situation in Gaza is never good. So the fact you're at 5% of normal Gaza levels tells you how dire things truly are. I had seen a calculation previously, Saagar, that what you would actually need is 100 trucks every single day to try to meet this need. So it's good that we got a few trucks through, but it is, you know, not even close to the need that you have at this point, given no food coming in, no fuel, no electricity, very little water. You know, it's quite a dire situation for everyone in the Gaza Strip right now. The U.S., the very latest this morning is, because this was unclear, frankly, whether it would just be those 20 trucks and that's it. They're saying that they got some sort of a guarantee that trucks would continue to be able to move through this crossing. So that is incredibly vital for just the life of people who are living in this area right now.
Yeah, then that's just the insane difficulty of all of this, which is it just seems like every party who is involved doesn't seem to have any interest in any of these civilian lives. Like, the Egyptians are making it difficult for like no reason. Hamas, of course, not exactly helping the situation. Israel helping nobody by firing on the actual crossing where this is all supposed to be happening. And then, I don't know if you saw this, the Israelis accidentally fired on Egyptian military forces and then had to apologize, which demonstrates the fog of war situation, how difficult all of this is. And sure, you can apologize, but, you know, who's stopping the ground commander or whatever from being like, oh my God, we're under attack, and then launching something again? This is the scary situation of all of this. The civilians are absolutely the ones who who are caught in the crossfire, and they're paying a big price. I mean, we're still not sure, and this is the unfortunate part. We do not know. We do not know for sure what the hell is going on. I wish that we could get people into Gaza, at the very least, just journalists and cameras, like just let people see. But that's the immense difficulty of all of this. We would be able to report from them, instead of having to rely on reports, like we're saying, of a U.S. congressman whose Palestinian Christian family was killed in an airstrike. Instead, we're trying to parse through everything, and everyone's looking, videos from Twitter, Instagram, and all that. That is not the proper way that you're supposed to actually be able to learn about these conflicts. We definitely learned that one the hard way in terms of propaganda from everybody all throughout the global war on terror, conflicts that we ended up in. So I just see the same mistakes being made again, Krystal. It's really difficult.
And the last piece we can put up here in terms of the dire situation on the ground already, and again, this is before any sort of ground invasion has begun. According to the UN, in only 12 days, Israel destroyed 25% of the private homes in Gaza and made more than 600,000 Gazans homeless. They put out a whole report with their best intel and insights into what the situation is like in the Gaza Strip. But it just gives you a sense of the level of devastation already. And, you've probably, if you've been on Twitter, seen these images, these drone images of the amount of rubble and just how many buildings have been destroyed. So a quarter of all of the homes they're estimating have already been destroyed in the Gaza Strip. It is absolutely unimaginable. I mean, I can't even wrap my head around what that would look like to experience.
Right. Well, this is the issue, is where we rely on drone footage, and, again, everyone's like, oh, well, this one particular image, and I wouldn't say it's being manipulated, but things are spreading either way. They're like, no, this is what Gaza looks like. It's like some guy's house with a pool, and the other was. That's a better way to think about it. Just think about metro area. We've described it before. I think Philadelphia is like roughly the same size, but with multiple times the population in Gaza, and then just think about what it would like to have that housing removed, and then also what an immense task it is going to be, as we all found out in Iraq. When you break it, you buy it, and then you're responsible now for building that up. I mean, it's going to cost untold billions to rebuild at the very least, and that's not even factoring in the security situation and everything that I guess we'll talk about in the Gaza future.
Hey guys, if you like that video, go to breakingpoints.com, become a premium subscriber, and help us build the best independent media organization on the planet.
That's right. We're subscriber funded. We're building something new. We want to replace these failing mainstream media organizations.
So again, to subscribe, it's breakingpoints.com.